Welcome to another We Ourselves video. And today I want to talk about something that has come to my attention, and it's something I think is very important, particularly for Black men and Black creatives, and that's the whole idea of being an introvert. I have seen a lot of videos done by Black men, everything from just telling real life stories to talking about their spirituality and their journey. And all of them are explaining to their audience why they are basically loners, why they don't have anybody significant, how they're not really pressed to have a lot of friends or to go out to the clubs and do all these things. Basically, they're explaining why they are loners. Part of it is tied to life experiences, and other people are looking at it as a spiritual journey, being chosen. And while all of those things are obviously relevant and important and play a role in it, the thing that I kept noticing is none of these Black men would say the dreaded I word. They were introverts. And I understand why, because in this day and age, in America, extroverts are put forward. Everybody wants to be an extrovert, even though the statistics say, depending on what report you look at, there's anywhere from 30 to 50% of the American people identify as introverts, but it's the extroverts that get all the attention. And ever since our culture changed, all the way back in the early 20th century, to one of everybody being a salesman. That was the thing that was pushed forward with the Dale Carnegies and people like that. Everybody was turned into a salesman, and now even those people could not realize where we would come in this digital age, in this social media age, where literally everybody is a content creator and everybody is meant to promote themselves through social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of these things. We are literally told to monetize any skill set we have and go out there and market ourselves. And so in this environment, which seems to call on everybody to be extroverts, I understand why Black men of all men who are super conscious of their presentation, who they are, what people think of them, how they present themselves. I can understand why we of all people would run from calling ourselves introverts. And that is why I'm so thankful that somebody as popular as Shannon Sharpe straight up used the I word. In an interview with Cam Newton on Cam Newton's Funky Friday podcast, he was asked about the different versions of Shannon Sharpe. And he talked about the three different personas. And he said none of those are the real person. And when they talked about him taking pictures with dogs and stuff like that, he says,
because off camera, I'm very quiet. I'm the most outgoing introvert you'll ever meet.
And I'm going to explain how a person can be an introvert and be outgoing. But I'm so glad he did that, because he talked about how when he gets home, he wants to just be quiet. He comes home, he has dinner, he goes upstairs, he don't turn on the TV, or if the TV's on, there's no sound, and he can be quiet, he could read a book, and he just wants to be to himself. He says in an interview, Stephen A. Smith noticed that he didn't talk about doing this and he didn't talk about doing that, and he was blown away that the real Shannon Sharpe is quiet. And so I was so thankful that he used the word introvert, because he recognizes it and he recognizes the power that introverts have. Some of the most successful people in industry, in the music industry, and business across the board, they are introverts. People like Bill Gates, super producers like Steven Spielberg. When you look at Michael Jackson, his entire life, he was very quiet. I would challenge all of you to go and watch the making of We Are the World. On the night that they were going to do that, everybody was at the Grammys, and they were going to come from the Grammys. They were going to come there, congregate, and they were going to spend the rest of the night doing We Are the World. If you go and watch that, notice what Michael Jackson does. He does not go to the award show. He's there alone with maybe one or two audio technicians who are getting everything in place, and he's recording his stuff alone. And he's unsure about it. He's asking them, how does that sound? And they're just totally blown away, because he decided, as an introvert, in his classic introvert personality, he decided that, you know what? I don't want to go and be in all of that overstimulation and things like that. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to go ahead and record my lines so that when everybody else comes, they can focus on them. That's an introvert. My point to Black men, don't be afraid to identify yourself as an introvert. There is power in being an introvert. And as Shannon Sharpe says, I am happy with my life. I am happy with who I am. In the book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. It's by Susan Cain, and it's a very good book. And when I read it, it really made me think different about myself. I had already known that I'm introverted. I never shy away from it. But it helps you to be comfortable with who you are, because introverts are introverts lifelong. It's not the same as being shy. You can have extroverts who are shy. You can have introverts who are shy. You can have introverts who are very confident about themselves. Shannon Sharpe is an introvert who's confident about himself and comfortable with who he is, who knows who he is. And when he needs to do other things, he creates that persona that he can inhabit that does that thing, but his core is still the same. And so that's what I just want to say to all my brothers out there. Acknowledge that you're an introvert. Introverts are some of the leaders in society. Society needs the introverts. They need the ones who are willing to really think things through. They are the ones who really come up with the plans. I remember the documentary about Apple and what's the guy's name? Wozniak. He was the one that was actually coming up with all of the technology and stuff. Like a classic introvert, it's what Jonathan Majors was. Like he says, he was always in his head. It's why that relationship with Grace Jabari, an obvious extrovert, wasn't gonna work. Not only did she not understand him as a black man and what he goes through, but she was also a foreign national. So she really didn't understand what a black American man goes through. And she's an extrovert and didn't understand what he as an introvert needed. I have a friend who is a psychologist, a brilliant psychologist. I didn't even realize she was an introvert until she explained it to me. She said, I was told a long time ago that I needed to be this in front of people. And so that's me. That's why I'm louder. I'm doing all these things. I'm animated with stuff. But it's easy because when I'm talking about things I love. But when I'm done, when I go home, I'm home. My friends have to work hard to get me to go somewhere. And when we talk, it's like, oh my gosh, she's a classic introvert. She gets it. Understand that you're half the population that is an introvert, and understand the power that is being an introvert. Don't let people tell you you should have outgrown it because they're misconstruing it with being shy and awkward. No. Introverts can be some of the most eloquent people. They can be some of the best fundraisers. They can be any of those things. They can be some of the most successful salespeople. How do they do that? Well, one way they do it is what Shannon Sharpe revealed. He has personas that he inhabits. Michael Jackson, when he went up on stage, he owned it. He was mesmerizing. That's why he was a superstar world over like he was. But when he came home, he needed to decompress. There are a lot of creative people that when they are doing their thing, they are in the zone, when they are doing what they love. But when they come out of that, they need time to recover. We need our downtime. Of course, they have a theory for everything. They call it the free trait theory. For an introvert to act like an extrovert, they can easily do that when they are doing stuff in service of their core personal projects, when they're doing the things they love. Again, if you're a performer, if you're a musician, if you're a singer, you can do it because you personally love that music. Making music is part of who you are. So when you go into that zone, you can be the most dynamic performer that anybody's ever seen, and you would appear as an extrovert, just like Jonathan Major. He can do the best performance, the most intense performance in his movies, but when he's done, cut, and he goes home, he's quiet. And so for all these men who are doing these videos in this hyper age of monetizing our skills and everybody being their own content creator and making themselves their own salesperson, even more than ever, being an introvert seems like the wrong thing to do, but people are finding it's actually the best thing. There is power in it. Please just use the word introvert. Acknowledge who you are, make your peace with it, find out how powerful it is, and then go forward from there. That's my 2 cents on the matter as an introvert. And so let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video.